do 14 different cooking functions. You're gonna take a whole bunch of appliances and replace it just once. So value-wise, it's not too bad. All you need is just multi-cooker and a toaster oven in your kitchen, and you're good to go. Well, FedEx has dropped this off. It's the Ninja Foodi Smart Pressure Cooker. It's the XL version, 8-quart with the thermometer. Let's get it open and see what's in that side. It does not come double boxed, so you're at the mercy of the delivery person. Quick start guide, directions, and this is the recipe booklet. And all of this is online too, so you could pretty much look it up online. Take off the top here. Just a cardboard filler. This is the rack. That's the way it comes. So it just looks like you just pull it straight up. And it weighs 26 pounds or something like that. So this is what it looks like. The first thing that comes to mind when they first see this thing is that it's really not that big as most people says. They say it looks like a humongous item, but it's not as big in person as people claim it is. It's covered with all these stickers that you remove. It gives you some tips over here, some warnings, some more warnings. And this is your water collector over here, your condensation collector. All right, we got this on the kitchen countertop, and like I said before, it's not as massive as I thought it was going to be. The way people explained it, I thought it was going to be like 2 feet high, but this is about the same size as my regular pressure cooker, electric pressure cooker I'm using now. So this looks like this is where the thermometer resides in, so it's got a sticker to peel off, and sure enough, the thermometer is sitting right here. Looks like it's held in by a magnet. Like I said before, this is your condensation cup. Explain about the vent here a little bit. I guess you open it up by sliding it over. Picking up by it says lift here, so that's kind of important because you don't want to lift from here, otherwise you're going to scald yourself when the steam hits your arms. Looks like cleaning's not going to be an issue here. I know with my air fryer, you really don't worry about this because the heat, if you got any splatters on here, with the heat on it, it just dry it up and carbonize it, and just have to wipe it down when it cools off. Here's a silicone ring that, like any other pressure cooker, you have to just take it off and clean it off once in a while. There's a top. Let's see. This is your basket. Okay. This is your inner part. The inner part's aluminum, and it's ceramic coating is your non-stick. So if you got a green pan, you know what that is. It just looks like a regular rice cooker type of heating element. This is spring loaded so that when the water evaporates, it knows when to shut it off. Heating element, so it heats from the bottom. And the lid's not that heavy. I mean, I think a lot of people have been exaggerating on this thing, to tell you the truth. But this is what it looks like. Coincidentally, I'm using my trusty old crock pot here. And right now, we're doing a pot roast. And it's been here for a few hours, so let's see what this thing looks like. Well, it looks mighty good. It's about an hour and a half to go yet. You can see the size difference. Let me get it down some more scale. So the first appliance we'll be comparing the Ninja Foodi with will be the Wolfgang Puck Bistro pressure cooker. Now this is the electric pressure cooker that most people are familiar with the twist-off lid. Now Wolfgang Puck, this is one of the original multi-cookers that came out. So it's pretty simplistic in design and functions. We have 5 functions on here. We got rice, meat, veggies, soup, and stew. The only other control you have on this is the amount of time you're going to pressurize for. Now you can see the size difference is relatively the same. Mind you, the Ninja has an air fryer built into it, so it's going to be kind of taller. Ninja's a little bit wider, but the Ninja is an 8-quart model, and this is a 7-quart model, so that kind of explains why it's a little bit bigger. But as you can see, size-wise, there's not that much difference. What I did notice that the Ninja does pressurize at higher pounds per square inch than the Wolfgang Puck, so that this actually pressure cook foods a little bit quicker than the Wolfgang Puck did. A lot of people have questions on regarding how this thing fits underneath a cabinet, to storage. And we'll swing this over underneath the cabinet and we'll take a look and see what it looks like. All right, a lot of people had a question on storage of this Ninja Foodi, And what I did was that I placed it underneath my cabinet so you could see size-wise how it fits underneath a typical countertop. Countertop through the bottom of the cabinet, we're running about 17 inches. And from the counter to the top of the Ninja Foodi, it's about 14.5 inches. So we have about 2.5 inch clearance over here between the top of this and the bottom of the cabinet. Now naturally you have to pull the machine forward to open up the lid to do your cooking. But if you're pressure cooking, you probably don't want to have this thing so close to your cabinet because you're just going to throw the water into the bottom of the cabinet, which is not a good idea. So you probably want to move this to an island, or a lot of times you could buy these kitchen carts that you could place this on the cart, wheel it around when you need it, and you can store other things underneath the cart. Okay, next one we're going to do is we're going to compare the Ninja Foodi with indoor grill. Well, next we're going to compare the Ninja Foodi with the Philips indoor smokeless grill. This is the latest units of the smokeless grill, and these does an excellent job. I've seen people cook with the Ninja Foodi, the proteins like steak, chicken, fish, and pork chops, and it does a great job. And the Philips also does a great job. The main difference between the two is, well, obviously size, but cooking area. With the Philips, it's quite a bit longer, so we could get maybe 4 steaks or 4 pork chops on here, whereas in the Ninja, you could probably only get 2 steaks or 2 pork chops in it, and you limit it to like maybe 4 thighs or 2 chicken breasts, large breasts. This one here you could do quite a bit more. So probably at least double the volume on this indoor grill. But for convenience sake, Ninja is able to do the grilling just as well as the Philips. Cooked steaks and pork chops on both machines, and they both does an excellent job of it. Next we're going to move on and we're going to go to the air fryer. So this is a comparison with the Ninja Foodi air fryer compared to a dedicated air fryer. Basically both very similar in the controls. You control the temperature and the time. This one here is the same way. You control the temperature and time. You use a chart to determine what that temperature and time is going to be. Some of the newer air fryers that's out there has dedicated buttons, so it takes some of the guesswork out of that. The advantage of the Ninja OL701 is that this also has the temperature probe on it. So once you put the temperature probe into the food that you're cooking, it automatically will set the temperature and time according to the food that you're using and the amount of doneness that you want it. Basket-wise, you can see this has a slotted openings on the bottom, whereas the Philips uses a screen. The sizes, the Ninja is going to be right around 8¼ inches by 3/4 inches to the fill line. So this gives you 5 quarts. This one here is going to be a little bit smaller. It's about 7¼ by 3 inches to the fill line. So we can see the size differences. They're pretty similar size, but this is the original Philips. They do have a larger size out there, the XL, and the XL is going to be very close to this size. This is the original, this is a smaller version. Now let me explain to you a little bit about air fryers. Dedicated air fryers do one thing specifically, and that's to air fry the food. Now they do have a lot of toaster ovens and multi-cooking units with rotisseries, those type of multi-ovens, and they have what's called an air fryer setting on them, but they're basically just convectional oven. They're not a true air fryer. A true air fryer is a smaller space, so you have superheated heat that is drawn down into the food and kicked back up. Larger area of the oven doesn't have that capacity to forcibly force all that hot air down and push it back up and down again. Also, the dedicated air fryers are designed to circulate oil more efficiently than a non-dedicated air fryer. Now what Philips done is that on the bottom of their pan, they do have a star. And that star is a patent device so that when the air is pushed down into this bottom pan, the star swirls up that air mixture and it kicks it back up into the food. The Ninja doesn't have that patent actually, but in the end result, they cook very similar, so it doesn't matter. Maybe the Philips will do a little more efficiently because of that star design. Now the way these air fryers work, and I'll show you the Philips and Ninja's the same way. They have an opening on the bottom, the food rests upon it. Philips uses a screen, and then the Ninja uses a slotted type opening. But what happens is that the superhotted air gets thrown down into the food, and between the food it hits the bottom and it gets kicked back up. Now if you notice, there's also a gap between the basket and then the actual pan. That allows air to go around, down, under, and up, because if you got a lot of food compacted in here, a lot of the air cannot shoot through the food. Now if you're using frozen foods have oil already embedded into the crust, so you don't have to add any more oil. If you're using raw food, you have to put a tablespoon of oil down into the bottom of the pan, and this way, when the hot air goes down and hits the oil, it's going to break up that oil into droplets, superheat that oil up, and it's going to swing that oil up, again, up, and then down through your food. It's the circulation process of the hot oil droplets that gives you that crispy air fry texture. So these dedicated air fryers do an excellent job of air frying, and the difference between the two, cooking-wise, I don't see a difference, but there's a slight difference in size. Okay, the next item we'll be looking at will be the Ninja Foodi compared to a toaster oven. This is the Breville Smart Oven. We can see the size difference. Now they both do the same functions. They both could do broil, bake, and roast. The difference is that oven can handle a 13x9 pan, and this oven can handle a 13-inch pizza. It's got a cutout in the back that allows the pizza to flow into the machine. So the difference is basically the volume. This is great for, like I said, anything that's under 9 inches in diameter. This can handle a 7-pound chicken, whereas the dedicated oven can handle probably a small turkey, could fit into this thing. So that's the differences between the two items. The Breville could also toast, whereas the Ninja won't be able to toast as well. Yeah, you may be able to toast on the broiler, but you're going to have to flip the bread around, and I don't know, I never tried it, but that's the differences between the two, the Breville oven versus the Ninja Foodi. So my next and last appliance we're going to compare the Ninja Foodi with will be a dedicated rice cooker. This is the Zozirushi model. You can see the size difference, but more importantly is the function. The Zozirushi model, this one here, has different menu selections for different type of rice that you're cooking. So it's white rice, softer, harder rice, mixed rice, sushi rice, porridge, sweet rice, brown rice, gabu rice. So it's all pre-selected for you. Whereas the Ninja, you have to work off of charts, which is okay too. Like if you're gonna make a white rice with the Ninja, you put your rice and water in there. You set the pressure cooker for 3 minutes and then delayed release for 10. And then your rice is cooked. Whereas this one here, the dedicated ones, especially the better ones, are all microprocessor controlled. So it's all done through fuzzy logic. So you tell them what rice you're cooking, and then this will automatically set the temperature and time, and it monitors that temperature according to what rice you're using. So it's going to change temperature, versus the initial stages versus towards the end. So you're going to end up with pretty much consistent, perfectly cooked rice. Now, if you're just going to use rice as a means of transporting gravy and sauces, it doesn't matter which machine you use. If you're a connoisseur or a connoisseur of rice eating, then there will be a difference in what you're going to get the end product out of a dedicated one versus this one. There's no question about that. The dedicated one is going to give you consistency, fluffier, and well-defined rice grains versus the non-dedicated ones. They do have less expensive rice cookers that work similar to these in that, it's got a spring on the bottom that determines how much water is in it, and as it evaporates, it'll shut off the unit. Whereas this one here works out for the fuzzy logic, like I said before. Now, the connoisseur rice makers, they know the difference between a good rice and a great rice. Just like a Westerner, and you're more familiar with bread, you can tell the difference between a good bread and a bad bread. There's a big difference there. There's going to be a considerable difference between the dedicated rice maker and what comes out of these machines. But for 99% of people out there, you're just eating rice as a complement or as a filler, this thing will do a just fantastic job. So that's the difference between the dedicated rice maker and the Ninja. Okay, we're going to do a noise test between the regular air fryer and then this Ninja. A lot of people say that the Ninja is awfully loud and you can't have a conversation within a 14 feet radius of this machine, but we'll find out. In fact, this is going to be our first cook on it. It'll be our French fries. And if we use it as McCann's because it cooks in half the time and it's got no flipping required. So we got some French fries loaded up in here. And they say 6 to 8 minutes on there, but We'll do noise test on this guy here first and get some sort of a reading. So this is about 66 dBs, which is pretty much a little less than speaking voice. So now we'll start this guy up here. We'll set this thing to air fry. This is 6 to 8 minutes, so we'll do 7 minutes. Start. Well, it looks like the air fryer itself is pretty low. It's probably less than the dedicated one. I think, so the air fryer itself is not loud. I just wonder what I think people are complaining about the steam and crisp blend. We will do that next. But the air fryer itself looks like it's only 55 dBs, 56 dBs, which isn't bad. That's almost a library. All right, I'm gonna do another noise test. Some people claim that this thing is so noisy that you cannot hold a conversation in the same room with this unit operating on the steam and crisp. I showed you how the air fryer the noise is almost negligible. This is the steam and crisp mode. I set it for 425 degrees for a couple of minutes, and we'll see what it sounds like. We're only 65 dBs right on top of the machine. You know, I mean, if we stand further back, you can see we're about 2 feet away. Maybe some people got faulty units. I don't know. I have to disagree with them on that. You can see it's not noisy at all. All right, let me do a recap of my initial impressions on the Ninja XL pressure cooker steamer fryer with SmartLid. This is the latest series from Ninja. It's the OL series. It came out in the fall of 2021. It was kind of limited supply at that time. So spring of 2022, starting to see these more readily available. It comes as a OL 501, 601, and 701. The 501 is a 6.5 quart multi-cooker. The 601 is an 8 quart, and the 701 is an 8 quart with a built-in thermometer. Now, when the OL701 was introduced later, 501 and 601s, there was only a $20 price difference between the 701 and 601. So it didn't make sense to not spend the extra $20 and getting the OL701 that has the built-in thermometer. With the thermometer, it has some groundbreaking features that the other models don't have. A lot better than a $20 difference of the OL601. But I have seen that since then, at May 1st of 2022, Ninja has dropped the price of the OL601 to $199.99. Now, this may be just a temporary price drop, but I can see where Ninja wanted to create a price difference between the 601 or 701, or even at this point, phasing out 601. Also, at the same time, they've dropped the price of the OL501 from $279.99 to $149.99. So now we have a greater difference in price structure between the 501, 601, and 701. Now you can only purchase the OL701 from Ninja or Amazon. It's not available at Best Buy, Kohl's, Target. So if you're purchasing one of these Ninja multi-cookers, you have to be careful. You know, you see a great sale price on a 6.5 quart model, let's say, but you know, that may be referring back to the FD one and not to the OL one. And they're basically two entirely different units, so you may want to pay special attention to which model you're exactly getting. Now, when I was looking for a multi-cooker, I do my due diligence in researching which competitor has which model and the features and all that, and I narrowed it down to the Ninja OL series. And more specifically, the 701. I wanted the 8 quart model because it's got larger capacity, so you could cook for a larger crowd or larger family. But more importantly is that when I make stews or casseroles or soups, I want to make it enough I could have it for 2 meals. This way I could freeze one meal or I could serve the meal the very next day. And the Ninja OL series really upped the ante compared to any other competitors out there with both features and functions. So that's why I honed in on the Ninja OL series. Now, over the other Ninja OL series, the 701 with the temperature thermometer has features on it that no other multi-cooker or pressure cooker on the market has. That includes Ninja or any other brand. Now, the temperature probe is excellent in that you put the temperature into whatever you're cooking and you don't have to monitor it. It's basically set and forget. The only time you have to be around the Ninja when it's on the thermometer setting is that if you have to either flip or shake the basket, or if you have to add ingredients during your cooking cycle. If that's the case, what the Ninja will do is that the display will show you when it is time to do those operations. So you lift up the lid, you do what you have to do, and then once you finish mixing or stirring or adding your additional ingredients, you close the lid and then just continue on cooking. And I could do a quick demonstration on that. Okay, so basically, here's the thermometer. Okay, so we're gonna put it in the machine here. Close the lid. See, as soon as you put the thermometer in, you get this icon over here. That shows that your thermometer is in the machine. And then you hit the preset button, and you can see this is going to automatically select the temperature and the cooking time for whatever you're going to be cooking. So you can use, you can scroll between your proteins, beef, chicken, pork, fish. And then with this other arrow, you could decide if you want rare, medium, well done. And that's all to it. So it's at that point, it's done all automatically. It'll start to cook. Once it reaches the temperature, it'll shut off automatically. You don't even have to be around this machine while it's cooking under the temperature gauge. So that's a big advantage of the thermometer. And the thermometer gets you another feature that no other machine has, and that's the automatic pressure release. It does not come with the OL701 without the thermometer. So once it finishes pressure cooking, if you got it set for natural release, it'll do a natural release. If you got it set for quick release, it'll do a quick release. If you do delayed release, it'll do delayed release. You set the amount of time here, how long you want a delayed release for. And then once the pressure is released, it'll go into the keep warm function and start automatically. You don't have to be around this machine. Just put your meat in, set it up, click start, and just walk away. You also have the manual release function if you want to do it manually. So that's a huge groundbreaking feature of having the OL701 with the thermometer. Let's go over some types of pressure cooking. We have the stovetop models, and we all know about those. Those run about 15 to 20 pounds per square inch and pressure on high. Now this Ninja, the high pressure is at 12 pounds per square inch, and the low is at 7 pounds per square inch. Average multi-cooker pressure cookers out there are between 9 and 15 pounds per square inch. So this Ninja sits slightly above average as far as the high pounds per square inch. The higher the PSI, the more pressure it's going to have, and then the faster it's going to cook. But now when you start running very high PSIs, you have safety issues. Like remember grandma's pressure cooker blowing up in the kitchen. So that alleviates that. And then, with the electric pressure cooker, it could handle the pressuring and releasing all automatic now. So it's a safety issue. Now let's go over the dimensions of this machine. It's 15.39 inches by 14.21 inches and 14.25 inches. It's at 1760 watts. So the average 15 amp circuit in the house handles about 1800 watts maximum. You're probably not going to have anything else on the line at the same time this thing is cooking. And the whole unit weighs about 26 pounds. Okay, so now the rack they give you, it's a 2-level rack, 9 inches in diameter. So you got 2 levels, so you could do dehydrating, or you could do multi-layer cooking, so you could cook a whole meal in one step. So your rice or your pastas, whatever you're on the bottom, you got your veggies, and then you got your meat on top. So it could handle one meal cooking in one shot. The crisp pan is 8 1/4 inches across the top, 7 1/2 inches across the bottom, so it's kind of tapered. It's 5 1/4 inches deep. The fill line, which is this fill line over here, is at 3 1/2 inches or 5 quarts total. Crisper basket has these removable feet over here. Now these removable feet is plastic, so it's raised up so that you can have liquid underneath it when you're steam cooking or pressure cooking. And the plastic is nice because they won't scratch up the bottom of the pot as you're putting it inside the pot. But you still got to be careful when you're dropping the crisper in because you don't want to bang up the sides too much. Now the inner pot, it's running at 9 1/2 inches across the top, 8 1/2 inches across the bottom, so again it's tapered. It's 6 3/4 inches deep. The max fill line, which is right there, is running at 5 1/4 inches or 26 cups. The ceramic coating from the green pan Ceramic coating has excellent release properties, and it's very durable. It's a very safe material, so it has no chemicals or metals in it that's going to cause you harm. It has no naturally PTFE in it, so it's a safe non-stick coating out there. Now, the manufacturer retail price of the OL701 with thermometer is $349. Like it says before, you can only get the 701s through Amazon or Ninja.com. But you get the other series, the OL601s and 501s, anyplace else. It's just a 701. Now, when you go to Ninja.com, they always have a 10% off coupon with the email. That's always readily available. Frequently have a 15% off coupon, so you could apply that. And every few months, if you're diligent and you want to wait around, they will have a 20% off sale. Now, what's nice about Amazon.com or through Ninja.com is that the honey extension will work with that website. So you may get lucky and grab one of these things at 20% off Ninja sale price, and honey may have a rebate going on at the same time. So you're going to get the sale price plus the honey rebate. Reasons to buy this Ninja 701. Number one, Ninja has been the forerunner in innovations of the multi-cooker. They're the ones that came out the air frying concept. And then they're the ones that have the one lid air frying concept. And now they're going into this steam crisp and steam bake, which nobody else has. And they could do this because of the one lid system. Now, the advantages of having these multi-cookers is that they cook your food faster than conventional cooking means. It cooks between 25-70% faster than using other appliances. For instance, I could pressure a pulled pork in this in about 2 hours. If I were to cook it on my grill, it would be an overnighter. So it would be like 12 to 16 hours to cook it. So this is going to cook it a lot faster, your meals. Another plus is that it could do all in one meal. So you could have your grains, your veggies, and your proteins cooked all at the same time. We're also able to cook from frozen. So let's say you're going to make spaghetti. You could take out your frozen ground beef, throw in some tomato sauce, and just pressure cook it in probably 5 minutes. It'll be done. And then I went over the steam crisp and steam and bake option, without having to swap the lids. That's the advantage of the 701. We have the thermometer that I spoke to you about before. It could automatically set the time and temperature of the meat until it's done, and it'll come out perfectly. I mean, we've done it with steak before, and we'll show you a demonstration on that. And then pork chops the other day, and I'll show you a quick demonstration on that in a later video. And then naturally, it's got the brand new interface. I just showed you that this thing is very easy to. So you could do, all these air frying, broil, bake, roast, dehydrate, proofing, saute, searing, steam, slow cooking, making yogurt, proofing the bread, which is nice to have. Now we're going to have steam and air fry. And then if you click down, steam and bake. And this is all going to be done automatically since we only have the one lid. So there's no swapping out lids. And then naturally we got the pressure cooking function. So you're going to take a whole bunch of appliances and replace it with just one. So you're going to have more room in your kitchen. And if you do take all those other appliances that this is going to replace, and let's say we just go with the mid price of each of those appliances, if you add them up, it's going to be over $700. Whereas you just buy this one unit, at $350, or if you get the sale prices, it's going to be more than 50% less than all those other appliances put together. So value-wise, it's not too bad. It's probably going to be one of your larger appliances in your kitchen. It's probably no bigger than some of my coffee makers. It's only slightly bigger than the air fryer I have now or the pressure cooker. With this multi-cooker here, remember it's going to replace 5 appliances, do 14 different cooking functions. And realistically, all you need is just multi-cooker and a toaster oven in your kitchen and you're good to go. My wish list for Ninja is that I wish they made the 8-quart unit wider and shorter. With the wider basket, you could maybe get 3 pork chops or 4 pork chops or 4 steaks in it at the same time. But I understand the reason why they did this. They took the 6.5-quart model and they just made it taller. So it's all economies of scale. They can reuse all the same parts except for a few different parts due to the height differences. Otherwise, they have to redesign a whole new unit and it's probably going to cost quite a bit more. Now, if we're comparing this with the competition out there, remember, Ninja is one of the only ones that actually has an air fryer option. Most of them are just pressure, steam cooking, and all that. Instant Pot also has the air fryer option, but it's a 2-lid system, so you have to swap out the lids. With this Ninja, it's all in one, so you have to do that. So most of the competitions, they're running between 9 and 11 functions, and this is doing 14 functions. The big one is going to be this guy here, the steam and air frying and baking and air frying. So those are two pretty good cooking options that is going to be very worthwhile. Now, let me go over with you some of the cons. I did my research and I checked all the reviews out there. A lot of those things are just people that don't know how to use their units, or they just like to complain and whine away. You know how they are when people review stuff. But I'll go over some issues that they had with the unit itself, and I can explain to you if it's an issue or not. One is that some people say that they get the unit and it won't pressurize. Okay, there's a couple of reasons why it will not pressurize, and let me just show you quickly. The first thing is that pressure release valve here. Now, if they're never used to a pressure cooker, they don't know how this thing functions. Okay, now if you look at the directions here, they go, see the arrow, vent, and seal. So it tells you manually vent it this way, releases the steam. But if you look at the arrow, it's kind of swinging up. So some people that's not used to pressure cooker, they says, oh, this must be sealing it. That's not sealing it, that's releasing pressure. Seal is in this valley here. So if nobody used a pressure cooker before, that's probably a reason why it's not sealing. A second reason is the silicone seal here may not be in all the way. If you take it out to wash it and you didn't put it in all the way, it's not going to seal. Pressure cooker knows that, and it's not going to allow you to have pressure. Some people have trouble with the seal of taking it off and putting it on. I tell you, comes off pretty easy. Putting it on is relatively easy. It gets a little bit troublesome right here where this little finger comes out and holds the bracket in place. It's kind of tedious to slide this gasket underneath this metal ring and then around it because this finger is in the way. But not that hard. You're just going to have to work on it a little bit. And you got this thing sealed as, if it spins. If it doesn't spin, then it's grabbing someplace. It's not sealed. Another item is this strainer basket. A lot of people have a hard trouble removing it and putting it back on. My unit, there's no problem. You just grab it, turn it clockwise, and pull it out, and just push it back in. All pressure cookers are the same way. They all have the same basket. If you have trouble with this one, you're going to have trouble with any other pressure cooker. One item of discussion is this open element here. It's not an issue, okay? Because it's out of the way. In order to hit the open element, you got to go out of your way to hit it. It's not in the path of your normal operations, and you're putting a basket in, you're not nowhere near that, so that's not an issue. Another thing that people complain about is cleaning this coil, if food splatters on it. Well, I've had air fryers for probably a decade, and it's got the open elements, and I never had issues with it. I never cleaned it, because next time you air fry, this thing gets nice and hot, it'll carbonize. It'll just turn to carbon, and you just have to take a towel and just wipe it off. Also, put some water in this unit, run it under steam for about a couple of minutes, and the steam will loosen up any items on it and just wipe it away. Another thing that people talk about, I cook my meats on the crisper basket itself. Some people, they like to use the rack to cook the meat, and then they use the top rack to get the meat closer to the element, thinking that it will crisp up better, but it may, but it's going to cause more splatter than using just a crisper basket. Crisper basket works fine. I did steaks, like it says, pork chops on it, chicken, and it came out just fine, just sitting it down there. Another issue that some people had, or some people complain about, is that when you open up this lid after pressure cooking or steam cooking, water would drip on the counter. They do have a trough over here that goes to a condensation cup, but you know what? If you ever had a pressure cooker that, the regular ones that the lid just unscrews off, water still pours out on your counter. I know that, you know that, everybody else knows that has a pressure cooker. So that's just a nitpick item that some people speak about. Another problem with these type of pressure cookers, or any pressure cooker, is that when the steam is released after pressure cooking, all that water vapor goes up in the air. And if it's underneath the cabinet, the whole bottom of the cabinet is going to get soaked, which is not a good idea. But that's with any pressure cooker. That's not just with this thing here. I know third party has some aftermarket diverter valves that go over the valve, and it's like an elbow that shoots the steam away from your cabinet. So you get one of those. I would suggest that if you're going to have something like this and something bulky like this, you're probably going to want to either put it on an island like I have, or if you don't have an island, you could buy one of those small carts, those push around carts for the kitchen. This thing could sit on top of the cart. In the bottom of the cart, you could put your utensils, your toaster ovens, or whatever else on the bottom, and this will sit on top, and this will be always available for you. Well, the first thing you're going to hear about with all those negative reviews is the size. It says, this thing is humongous, you know. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And they return it. But you know what? Before you purchase the item description tells you the size. So you know the size going in when you're purchasing it. So that shouldn't even be a negative. Biggest concern is not the size, but the weight of it. You know, it's just 26 pounds. And after using it, you know, putting it down in the cabinet or in the pantry, then pulling it out and lifting it up and putting it you know, on the counter when I got to cook again with it. You know, 26 pounds is kind of heavy. So that's a given, you know. But then with weight comes quality and comes safety so it doesn't tip over. Biggest negative I heard that's out there is people complaining about noise. They said that the air fryer is on or the steam and crisp is on. You cannot be in the same room and hold a conversation because the unit is so loud you can hear it throughout the house. Well, I've done a noise demonstration showing you that it ranges at between 55 and 66 dBs at the highest. I'm speaking at 70 dBs. That's just my normal speaking voice. So they may have either had a faulty unit or from the initial release date of fall of last year to spring of this year. Now this is the end of March of 2022. So they may have made some changes because you know, noise is absolutely not an issue now. Ninja does give you a couple of hints when you're doing your cooking. If you're converting from a regular recipe that's meant for a conventional oven and you're transferring that over to the Ninja, they suggest that you turn down the temperature by 25 degrees. So if you're baking your cake at 350 degrees on a regular oven, turn it down to 325 and you'll be okay. He also says that if you're going to pressure cook, it'll be quicker if you add hot water into the Ninja before you pressure cook. This way it takes less time for it to get up to pressure. Now you only do this for pressure cooking. For the other functions, steaming and for the steam bake and all that, you want to use the room temperature water to put into the machine because microprocessor or the computer in here accounts for temperature to be increased and then the cooking to start. So you could throw off your cooking by putting in hot water to begin with, if that makes sense. Next thing I want to go over is the accessories that's available for the OL701. Now, if you look at Ninja's description, or if you look at the box it came in, it tells you some of the accessories available for this. But if you go to ninja.com and click on the OL701 and then click on the tab that shows accessories, there's really nothing there. How do you buy the accessories, you know? You could go eBay or Amazon and buy third-party accessories. And I think Amazon even carries some of the Ninja accessories. But the thing is that the accessories are there, it's just not in the location you think it should be. So what I did was that I went back and looked at the prior generation, which is FD401. If you click on that model and go to the tab that says accessories, all the accessories are there, and those accessories naturally will fit into this unit. In fact, we'll just trot down to my computer and we'll go to the ninja.com webpage so I can show you the accessories that's available, and I could go over the accessories with you. The website over here. And we look last year's generation, the OP series here, 401. Now you can see all the accessories pop up. You know, most of it will fit into the OL701. And here's a dehydrator stand. The rack that they give you is only 2 levels. This has, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. So you could dehydrate a lot more items than the rack that they give you. This deluxe baking kit is nice. What's good about this is that you get the crisper pan, which is 9 inches across. So you could reheat pizzas on it, or you can make small personal sized pizzas or turnovers or burritos, and anything you want to crisp up, you can stick on this crisper. You come up with a loaf pan, which is good for bread, meatloafs and all that. But the cake pan is 8 3/4 inches wide and 2 3/4 inches tall. Now the regular cake pan is usually 8 inch by 2 inch, but with this cake pan here, you could fit a whole cake box mix into this pan with one pan without overflowing. Now you can use your regular 8 inch pan, 2 inch pans, 8 by 2 inch pans, but you may have to do 2 separate cooks on it to bake it. They got a lid here, as you can see, with the steam vent. If you don't have a lid, this is kind of handy if you're doing any type of steaming or if you're making soup and stuff or sauteing, and so you could keep an eye on the food as you're cooking it. You got the tube cake pan here. You got egg bite molds or cake pops with a lid to seal it up. That may be handy if you're interested in that. They got the pot here is $25 to replace it, which is good. If you have a tendency of scratching or messing up your in the pot, you can replace it at any time. It's only $25. That's a reasonable price. Here's your replacement rings. If you cook something that has a strong odor to it and it gets permeated into your silicone ring, that you can't clean it off, well, you could buy a replacement set. It looks like a 2-pack for $10. That's very reasonable. There's a pot storage lid that you can put over in a pot to store your leftovers. I never used it. I had the Wolfgang puck model that comes with it, and I never used it once, so I don't know if you need it. This is pretty nice. It's a sling. It's silicone, and these handles fold up and so that you could put your pots on top of here, and it's raised so that it keeps it off the bottom. So if you got liquid on the bottom, and you could easily pull up your pots. And what's also good about this is that you could cook on this too. I mean, you could put your whole chicken on here. You could put your steaks on here, your burgers, and it's going to keep it off the bottom, and you could lift it up easily after it's being cooked. Some people, or I've seen them cook, and they put food down into the rack, and then they're trying to get the chicken out, and it's kind of tough. Here you just pull it up. So all accessories are there. It's just not where you think it should be, but you can buy it here. You can buy third party, has some of these accessories. They may be less expensive, but you got to be careful. With Ninja, you know what they're using for coatings. I don't know what those third party are using. Some of the silicone slings are kind of flimsy, and this one here is probably pretty strong. But I just want to show you where you can buy accessories for this. This is for people that never had electric multi-cooker before. I hope it's pretty informative for you. I hope you liked the video. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.